Today's date is March 12th, 2018. My name is Walter Napier, here with Tyler Campbell, and I'm interviewing Mr. James Hughes. During his service, Mr. Hughes rose to the rank of corporal in the United States Marine Corps, serving in Vietnam. For his service, Mr. Hughes was awarded the Combat Action Ribbon, the Vietnamese Cross, and the Good Conduct Medal. I am interviewing Mr. Hughes as a part of the University of Central Florida's Community Veterans History Project. This interview is being conducted at the Lake Nona VA, and Mr. Hughes has agreed to allow this interview to be recorded. Mr. Hughes, could you start off by telling me when and where you were born?
I was born in Orlando, Florida in 1949.
Did you have any siblings?
I have 3 sisters by my father and 3 sisters, or no, there's 8 of us, 4 brothers and 4 sisters. But some of them stepbrothers. Same mother, different father.
What did your parents do for a living?
Well, my father was a heavy equipment operator, and my mother, I don't think she did anything. I don't know a lot about my mother. I didn't grow up with my mother or my father. My grandmother raised me.
Okay. What was your education like growing up?
I went to the 12th grade.
Did you have any family members that were in the service?
Oh, I've got all kind of family members, cousins and nephews and nieces. There was my cousin. Most of my cousins went in the Marine Corps, but I had one that went in the Navy, and I got a nephew that's in the Air Force now. And my other nephew was in the Army for 15, 16 years, and then he got out and he's a correction officer. So I mean, we kind of ran the gamut.
Did you do any work prior to joining the Marine Corps?
Well, you know, I was young. I worked in a gas station for a while. I cut yards, make money, and just, went to school. So that was basically it.
What made you decide to enlist in the Marine Corps?
Well, one of my best friends, he talked me into it. He said, well, let's join the Marine Corps. Because neither one of us had any really big plans after we, graduated. So he taught me into it for 4 years. I only wanted to go for 3, and as it was, we both went in on a buddy system. We both went to boot camp together, and we got out, and I went to Vietnam and he went to Hawaii. And unfortunately, he died in Hawaii. He got killed on a motorcycle wreck.
What was your family's reaction to you enlisting?
Well, back then, I don't know if the family really knew anything about a whole lot was going on. I mean, they knew about Vietnam and stuff, and they didn't want me going to Vietnam. But I said, well, you go in the Marine Corps, you're probably going to go there at that time.
So tell me about boot camp. How was that?
Well, I mean, it was kind of rough, but I was in good physical shape, so I enjoyed all the PT and all the stuff. But a lot of guys just couldn't do it, and that's how they weed you out. But I did all right. My buddy had a problem.
What did your buddy have a problem with?
Excuse me. I forgot to turn it off. Ah, stop. Wrong way. Turn it down. So don't do that again. But you like my ringtone, don't you? How much you want to stand up salute?
Fits right in.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right. You said your buddy had a problem. What was his issue?
Well, his was the PT and the running and the because Marine Corps really likes to run you. 4 miles in the morning when you get up and 4 miles after you eat. So it's pretty intense, and we always had to help him around, but he finally made it through. He did a good job.
Do you have any particular stories that stand out of boot camp?
Well, I mean, it's the typical thing, you got guys that are big screw-ups and stuff, and you kind of give them the soap party and all that stuff to straighten them up, and the DI, he pretty well took care of everything else.
Did you receive any additional training following boot camp?
I went to ITR, Intensive Training Regiment, in North Carolina. And after that, I went to Schools Battalion in California. My MOS was a 35-31. That was a truck driver, but I didn't get to drive much. But what I did drive, we went on convoys and and stuff like that. And it was mainly I stood guard over some missiles.
Did you get any duty station prior to going to Vietnam?
Well, no.
So how did you learn that you were going to be deployed to Vietnam?
The drill instructor told me. Well, he had the whole platoon up there, and he says, I just want to wish. He said half of you be going to Vietnam and half of you won't. So good luck to the half it goes.
Did you
He
get
said
any,
half of those won't be coming back.
Did you get any additional training when they knew you were going to Vietnam? Did you have any specific training before deployment?
No, because we went to went to survival school and went through intensive training, and that was it. And then they sent me over there. I got over there in '68 during right in Tet going on.
What was your first impression of the country?
Well, my first impression, I thought it smelt bad, but it was a beautiful country, beautiful. But you go in the villages and stuff, and it just smells. To me, it did.
What was your mission in Vietnam? You said you didn't get to drive trucks much. Did they give you a
Well,
specific mission?
Yeah, mainly I was standing guard in bunkers watching over missiles. And then on convoys, we'd go up north and, go over south. And I was mainly stationed in I Corps, which is around Da Nang area. But I made it to Phu Bai and Dong Ha and Hill 55 south. It was an artillery battery. And they kind of just sent me different places, It's kind of like a floater. But the main part was that I did over there was up on Charlie Battery behind Freedom Hill, which is the commissary type thing. And that was it.
Did you
Just
interact?
beside the convoys and stuff,
Did you interact with the locals, or were you mainly confined to the bases?
Well, yeah, we had them. They have them on every base working, and you have to interact with them. And then sometimes when I did drive a truck, I'd have to take them back to their village and let them off. And but there was a lot of interaction with them. But the whole thing about Vietnam was all the death, and it was just something an 18-year-old shouldn't see.
I know this is kind of a strange question because what you just said, moving it around, but did you have like an average day? I mean, what time did you wake up? When did you find out what you'd be doing that day, that type of thing?
Well, it depended which place I was stationed, so the time to get up, we all got up around 5:30, something like that. And then you go to your, not commanding officer, but your officer in charge, and he'd tell you what to be doing. But I was there during the race riots. A lot of people don't even know about that. They had them there.
Could you tell me about it?
Well, it's one place I was stationed. It was a base that was in the rear, and they had EM clubs and stuff like that. And we had some blacks killing the whites and whites killing the blacks, and there's some people going around putting frag grenades in the officer quarters and stuff. I mean, it was a difficult time, and but a lot of people didn't know they even had it. It started race riots back there either too. So it was quite bad. You had put them in body bags and toe tag them and take them to the morgue. And it was upsetting that we were fighting ourselves, But I mean, it happened.
Did you have any free time that you could go out and relax?
Well, they had what they had China Beach. You could go there if you got some time off, and it's a beach that's right there. And it's called Red Beach, I think, or China Beach, one of them. And you can relax. It's like the beach. But you usually didn't have a lot of time unless you did your watch, and then you try to sleep. But but anywhere you're at, there was no safe place there. You got rockets and all that stuff, and I almost got killed by one. It missed me by about that much.
What was going on that day?
I was in my hooch, and they had a rocket come in that hit the side of the barrier we had where we had our hooches, and a big old piece of shrapnel come that close to my bunk. I got a picture of it somewhere, but it's like I said, it wasn't safe. And then I was there on that mountain when the bomb dump blew up in '69, and it leveled our hill. We had to go on the back of the hill, and they couldn't evacuate us because we had gas coming over and all that stuff, and the back we had to have. They couldn't get us off, so we just went to the other side of the mountain and hoped for the best. But we made out. It just leveled the hill, just all the structures on it.
Said you got there during the Tet Offensive. Could you tell me about that?
That was bad. I mean, anywhere you went, like if we were driving and going up north, you'd go through the Bills where they had dropped napalm, and you saw all the people smoking. They called them crispy critters, but you know, and that was some very bad stuff. And later on, I'll tell you what, when I came home, I still had all the nightmares and all that stuff. You know, I got one in particular that stands out, which I think I told you about the guy that got hit by friendly fire, and he was in the hospital, and all the medics running around trying to figure out who to save and who not, you know, let go. Shoot him full of morphine. You had blood like coming up almost to your ankles, and they just told us to go around and comfort him. I was there because I was in the hospital. I had dysentery. So I was at the hospital for that, but I went over this one guy, and he'd been hit by napalm, and all his eyes were melted shut, his ears were melted, his mouth was just, and he was crying for his mama. So I just took his arm and I held his arm, and then they finally made around and shot him full of morphine, and he died. And I went to take my hand away from his arm, and all the skin peeled off his arm. So that's the one I remember the most. But I seen them, you know, I seen guys, even the Viet Cong or Vietnamese they killed, they were bringing them in. A guy had a stake through his heart, I mean through his side, he was still alive. And but all these guys coming in, of course they unload the wounded first and then unload the dead. And it was just, I seen every wound imaginable you can do with a bullet or a bomb or anything else, you know. And there were a couple times I had to take guys to the morgue, and that was a peaceful place though. The guy that was in charge of it, he says, it's nice and cool down here, you don't hear anybody yelling at you or screaming, you know. He said, I'm just taking care of my men. And that's an admirable job, I think, that guy. That and being an escort, taking a body back would be a great job. But it was just, it was a terrible place.
You said you were doing convoys. What? Tell me about those.
Well, we'd take ammunition and you know, whatever they needed, wherever they needed it. And I got to ride a lot of times on the back because we had a 50 cal on the back of the truck, a 5-ton truck. And they would shoot at us, but you know, it was just like them letting us know they were there. And of course we'd shoot back sometimes. But it's, a truck makes a good target. And I remember one time we were going to, I was the convoy commander, and they told us just drive as fast as you can because they like to mine the roads. You know, that IED stuff's not new. And so I remember once we were going down there, and my CO said, don't stop for nothing, because we had 5-ton trucks with 10,000 pounds of ammunition on it. It was 6-7 trucks. And so I had this one Vietnamese kept kind of veering over on one of them motorbike things they had, and he kept slowing down, so I ran over him. But he's the one told me not to stop. I didn't. But it's, I mean, there's stories, you know, if I thought, I could think of a lot of them. I mean, it's just the horrifying thing is war. The war ain't pretty, just like they say. And these guys coming back from all these other places have the same type problems we do. And I ended up, I didn't get shot. And they said, well, everybody said, well, you're lucky you didn't get shot. And I said, yeah, but I got Agent Orange, diabetes, I got nerve damage, I got, you know, so it's always something. I mean, and I don't know, I just, and I came home, the first time I came home, these guys were chasing my buddy and his sister in his car. So I seen it was him, and there was 4 of them in the car, so I just pulled over in front of them. And I got out of that car to come back to confront him, and the guy pulled a double-barrel shotgun on top of his car. And I just told him, you better put that away or I'm gonna bend it around your neck. So his buddies put it back, got him to put it back. But, I mean, there's, you know, I expect to get shot at over there, but not at home. And, you know, of course, coming home, I went there 3 times, so coming through the airports, coming through Seattle, there was the Red Cross lady with cookies. That was my homecoming. I went through Atlanta just like all the other vets. They just kind of spread you out, you know, go around you. But I had a loving family, so that's all I needed.
So you said you went to Vietnam 3 times?
Yep, I was over there in 68, 69, 70, and 71. They were split tours though. I mean, like the first was 13 months, then I went back for 6 months, then I went back. I was supposed to end my service there, but I ended up coming home on what they call Operation Reunion. I'd been there like 4 or 5 months, and as it was, I went in the hospital. They kept me there a month, and after you're there a month in the hospital, they change your duty stations. So I went back to Paris Island to finish.
Did you have any different mission the second and third times you were in?
Well, I went to a different place. The last time I went over, I went to a different place, and that was where they had the race riots. It was called Force Logistic Command, and it was out at Red Beach. But the mission's always the same: just do your job, get it done, do what you have to.
Did you do any dismounted patrols?
Excuse me. No, basically the only patrol we did was around the mountain I was stationed on. It was not like a search and destroy. It was just making sure everything was all right there. And you still miss it. They leveled our, well, not leveled our hill. They had hot missiles up there, and they blew up 3 missile launchers and 6 missiles, I think. And those missile launchers had no price on them. We had 1 guy killed and 3 wounded, but we took the hill back in 7 minutes.
So how long were you totally in Vietnam? So 13, 6, and
13, 6, and 5, whatever that is.
okay. Did you ever get
24 months.
Did you get leave ever?
Well, yeah, I got in country. I got in country R&R, and I went to Cameron Bay to see my brother-in-law. He was a paramedic, and what a nice place. They had air conditioning, beer in their cahooches and stuff. And then I went to Hong Kong, and then as our unit was pulling out, I went from Vietnam to Iwakuni, Japan, but I was only there because I was about ready to rotate. I was only there about 13 days, and so I didn't do nothing but play.
So what did you do in Paris Island the last 4 months?
All they had me doing was moving troops. You know, if it's a drill instructor, they come to your area to work, and you'd march them back and forth to wherever they had to go.
Why did you decide to leave the Marine Corps?
My wife at that time was sick of it. She didn't want it. So I got out. I was going to stay in, but as it was, 7 years later, the VA retired me anyway.
So just kind of on your ranks, you were a corporal. What was it like being a non-commissioned officer?
Well, sometimes you really had more power than the officers did, because they delegate everything to you, and then you have to take care of everything else. In other words, I worked for a living.
How did you feel about the end of the Vietnam War?
I don't like the way it turned out. I still don't understand how you can win every battle and still lose a war. But it was political. They wanted it done on paper. But I never regret the experience. It taught me a lot. So In the Marine Corps, I love the Marine Corps. The guys in it are just outstanding. They just, you know, I'd fight along any of them, with any of them.
So yeah, that leads really well into, for you, what does it mean to be a Marine?
I think it's the best thing I ever did in my life. It's something I'm proud of, and I don't regret a minute of it. Other than being sick all the time, but you know, I got so many things wrong with me. It's just, but I still would never say anything bad about it.
What was your most memorable moment while you were in the service?
Oh, getting out. I don't know. I had a lot of good times, had a lot of bad times, so it's just, you know, they kind of equaled out, I guess. But it's for anybody going in the service. I think anybody in uniform, I love them. I don't care who they are. If they're wearing a uniform, I love them. And it's I had a couple guys ask me, says, "Well, what service should I go into? Would you go in the Marine Corps and stuff, and this and that and the other?" And I said, "Well, if you're going for schools, I go in the Air Force." I said, "If you like to fight, I go to the Marine Corps." But even the ladies, you know, some of the women I've talked to wanted to go in the Marine Corps, and I said, okay.
Well, do you have any advice for someone who would want to join the Marine Corps?
Go in, do what they tell you to do, and you'll make it. And listen to that drill instructor. He gives you a lot of good advice. He tells you how to survive. But I always tell people my grandmother taught me the same thing as my drill instructor, how to survive. But you just do what they tell you to do, and you'll do fine.
How were you received in your community when you got home?
Well, all my friends and stuff, you know, of course, the first time I come home, there's something wrong, you changed. Well, I had a whole new outlook on life. You know, life's precious. And I was received good by my family, but the other people, if you're in uniform, if you're not in uniform, nobody even knows. But if you're in uniform, the people were kind of, you know, it seemed like they were distant. They didn't want to talk to you. And like I said, I came through Seattle. The only people there was a Red Cross lady with cookies. And I came through Atlanta. Like I said, they just kind of moved around. But, you know, I was just trying to do something for the country, you know. So I did what I had to do, and that was that.
What was it like once you got out of the Marine Corps and you were returned to civilian life? How was the change?
It was rough. I didn't really know how to acclimate, and because like when we came home, you didn't have what do they call it? Somebody to talk to, you know, before you get out to get you into civilian life. And he says, "Well, good luck with your life." That's what the lieutenant said when I got out after I signed the papers. And then they say, of course, if you stay in, we'll make you a sergeant. I said I should have been a sergeant 4 years ago. My pro and cons were perfect and all that stuff. But at that time, they had too many sergeants. But it seemed like, I mean, I was doing a sergeant's job most of the time anyway. But and that's all right. I felt I did good. And all my officers around me and stuff told me I did good, so I just didn't get promoted.
What profession did you pursue after leaving the Marines?
Well, the first job I started was working for a truck company, loading and unloading trucks. And then I got the job I really liked, was working for Davron Corporation. It's a munitions company. We were building M79s for the service, and I was good at that. I was a forklift driver, plus I worked on the assembly line. But of course, after all that started, I couldn't do that. I was putting fuses in detonators But anyway, after that, they laid off everybody, and I went and worked for Crown Cork and Seal, which was a can. They made cans, palletizers, and the loaders, and for Coca-Cola and all them. And that was my last job. I worked 7 years or 7 years after I got out, and I started getting real sick. Didn't know what it was, didn't know that, so I went to the VA, and come to find out I had all this stuff wrong with me. I said, dang, so no wonder I last this long. But I mean, it's been a ride, but I ain't a quitter. I'm not gonna lay down and die for anybody.
You remain in contact with any of the Marines you served with?
No. In fact, well, one of them, but he died now, and he was one of my friends. He drank himself to death. And I had two people. They took their own lives. They shot themselves, and but most of my other friends, you know, they're still around. But war does something to you. Some people get out and can handle it, some people can't. And the VA, God love them, they seem to want to just medicate everybody and push them to the side, you know. And that's, of course, that's what they did to me at first. And I said, I ain't doing that. I can't think, I can't do nothing. It cost me a wife. She got, you know, she didn't want me anymore after 14 years. But then I had another wife. I was with her 10 years, and she took her own life. So I already had PTSD, but when I walked in and saw that, I just, but like I said, I'm a survivor. I'm not quitting.
You have any advice for veterans who are trying to get into the VA system?
You got to keep pushing. They don't give you anything. They try to get you from doing stuff, you know, getting in the system. But you just got to keep pushing. Now I guess I was kind of lucky because at the time that I did it, I mean, they had all my records and stuff, and so I got it pretty quick. But I know these guys, they're waiting 3-4 years now. They're just, you know, and they're dying. Hopefully the system, hopefully it'll start getting better. I mean, you know, everybody's gotten a lot better. I love this hospital. This is the best place I've ever been in as far as VA system. I've been in Tampa and I didn't like that at all. But this is kind of state of the art. They have everything you need. I mean, I live 56 miles from here, but hey, it's worth coming here instead of going to Orlando. It takes me 2 hours to get to Orlando. Traffic and stuff. But no, it's they're taking care of me, so I got no qualms with them.
Well, sir, is there anything else about your service or following your service you'd like to tell us about?
Well, I mean, it's anybody joining, the best thing to do is, and I tell this to everybody, if they join the service, stay in as long as you can and retire, because you'll still be young enough to get another job. Then you have 2 paychecks coming in. Of course, I didn't do that. I should have, but I love the service. I love everybody in the service. If you wear a uniform, I love you. And it's just, war is hell, and anybody that's ever been, they'll tell you that. It's nothing good about it. And the people coming home, I feel so bad for them, you know. But they either need to get help with whatever the problem is they're having, because it doesn't get any better without it. So, but like I said, it was a hard ride, but I just keep myself busy. I feel terrible every day. I still can't sleep. I got chronic insomnia. I've had that since '68. They can't figure out a way to get me to go to sleep. But I still get up and do what I need to do.
Well, sir, thank you, Mr. Hughes, for your service, for your time here with us today. University of Central Florida's Community Veterans History Project and I greatly appreciate it. We will be in touch with you, and when your copy of the interview is ready, and please feel free to contact the Rich's office with any questions you may have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.